Ha ha ha, don't worry. My pet's potential score is 76 points. I've been doing basic training recently. I can definitely be assigned to the top class. Youngju assured her while sitting in the back seat of Subai's electric scooter. It should be no problem for me, too. I can enter the top class. Subai nodded. There were only a few hundred students in the 4th high school, so as long as their grades were good, there was a high probability that they would be placed in the top class. Chen Roshue nodded. She was still rather concerned about Subai and her other classmates. We can practice together when we have time on Sunday. By the way, what is Purple Jade's potential score? She only remembered then that he had not yet revealed the cub's potential score to them. I'm afraid that my pet's potential score will scare you both if I say it. Subai glanced at them. F***ck, you think I'm so easily scared? Look at my body and tell me quickly. Youngju was in doubt. Looking at their expectant faces, he smiled and slowly said, "It's 93 points. How is it? Scared now? Isn't it just, what the F***ck? 93 points. Are you sure? You're kidding, aren't you?" Youngju's expression turned from disapproval to shock. Are you serious about that? Don't tease me. No, stop and let me see the result. Chen Roshue stopped the little scooter and demanded to see the data from him. Why would I lie to you? Subai stopped the scooter and spread his hands before showing them his mobile phone. It was hilarious to see the shock on their faces. Woohoo Tilda called Purple Jade as if it had proven itself with this. Wow, that's great. This is amazing. The stunned Chen Roshue patted Subai's shoulder. The potential score of 93 points was absolutely in defiance of the natural order. She dared to say that no one else in the entire 4th high school had a higher potential score. Hey, were you going to continue hiding this from us if we didn't ask you? How could you? You didn't even tell us the first time. Still looking shocked, she pushed him a little. She was very dissatisfied with his behavior. Subai, I really want to kill you now, you know? I feel that you were deliberately sent by God to steal my limelight and prevent me from looking impressive. You guys are too fake. Clearly, your beginner materials were average. It's just so unfair that you got such a godly pet. Youngju clenched his fists, having the urge to punch the other boy. He originally thought that the potential of his friend's pet was not good and he needed to comfort him, but in the end, this guy had quietly made such a godly pet. The most damning thing was that he had kept it from them. I'll just treat you both to breakfast. Don't look as if you're going to eat me. I only went for the test yesterday. Besides, if I said anything then, you two would say that I was just pretending, wouldn't you? It's too difficult for me. Subai shook his head helplessly. The other two took a deep breath together, still feeling vexed. They only calmed down after a while. Hey, I'm parting with you guys here. Do you wanna come to my house for dinner? Chen Roshue asked both boys. Her house was nearer, so she would reach home first. No, it's okay. The two quickly shook their heads. They still had lingering fear over being dominated by her grandma. Fine, I'm splitting now. She smiled and bid them goodbye. Youngju shook his head as he watched Chen Roshue leave. I will never dare to go to her house again. It's too terrifying. Subai nodded in agreement. He did not want to be crushed to death. The last time they went to their class monitor's house, her grandma had taken out a bowl bigger than a small basin, and inside it were 2 large heapings of compacted rice. Their hearts almost collapsed that day, for they had nearly been stuffed to death. What was more, after lunch, her grandma had enthusiastically given them more food to eat. Another time, it had been a watermelon that she cut in half for each of them. After they barely finished eating it, she stuffed them with a few cantaloupe melons. Ever since then, both boys refused to go to their friend's house. Her grandma was too enthusiastic, and their appetite could not keep up. Do you want to go in and play? Youngju got off the scooter and asked. Forget it. Not today. Subai shook his head. The other's family often came by, so they were very familiar, but he really did not have time now. That's all right. You be careful. Okay, bye. He rode his electric scooter home. His family's house was not in this area, and he only came here to specifically send his friend home. Dad. Subai returned home to see his parents and brother back. He put his things down and looked at his father. "What's wrong, Dad? Did something go wrong with the reservoir?" He noticed that his father's expression was not right. "There are some complications, which I think I won't be able to fix soon." Father Su seemed to feel a little irritable. "What happened? Does someone want it, too?" Subai frowned. Reasonably, contracting such a small reservoir was a very simple matter, and there would generally be no problem with it. "Sai, the reservoir is part of the neighboring Qingshui village. Their village head and our village committee have some contradictions. They're hedging and asking for too much money. They even said some nonsense about developing the area." Su Yu was also very upset. Such a simple thing was made irksomely complicated by all the trivialities. Qingshui Village's statement that they planned to develop the area was nonsense. The reservoir had been there for more than a decade, yet they had not done any development. "We'll have to think of a way. Dad, why don't you bring some gifts and see if you can get them to back down as quickly as possible? If the space crack is discovered, it'll all be useless." Those people had long been snobbish and troublesome, so they would surely bring too much trouble. If only their family had a professional pet tamer, then this would just be a matter of a phone call. "I know, I'm already doing it." Father Su shook his head. "Okay, then." Subai nodded and went to prepare food for the cub. He now controlled its diet very strictly, giving it food according to the feeding plan given by the Pet Tamer interface. The Pet Tamer interface, which was naturally his golden fingers ability, let him see information of pets or monsters. The special feeding method was most conducive to the growth of pets. Now, Purple Jade was fed once a day with wood spirit potion and green thorn plums. Wood spirits potions were wood spirit crystals combined with basic spiritual plants. The green thorn plum was a poisonous spiritual fruit. It was palm-sized, seedless, green, soft, and rich in juice. The wood spirit potion could replenish the basic spiritual power of Purple Jade, which it needed for growth. The green thorn plum could increase its body's strength, flexibility, and pliability. With its special toxin, the thorn plum was able to increase his pet's toxin, but because of its toxic peculiarities, it was not expensive and only cost 500 yuan apiece. Together with the wood spirit potion, the total was 2,000 yuan. This was almost the daily basic feeding cost of Purple Jade. Thankfully, it was still a lower-level servant pet, or the cost would be more expensive. In fact, pets generally consumed one piece of spirit crystal a week, but this was simply impossible if their goal was to be professional pet tamers. Their pets must be fed adequately and scientifically in order to build a good foundation and for their potential to play out fully and for them go further in the future. "Let's go for training, buddy. If you perform well today, I'll let you learn a new skill." After his pet finished its meal, Subai carried it up. The new skill he was talking about was naturally the parasitic ability he had gotten from the rock previously. "Howl Tilda," the cub called happily, turning over and nudging his neck affectionately.